have with us again Mr. Henry Greenbaum to speak to us and share his story and message of hope and perseverance with us all today. Mr. Greenbaum was born in Poland on April 1st, 1928, so happy early birthday. He has a big birthday coming up. He is currently a volunteer with the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. He goes there every Friday, and he shares his story to ensure that we know and we will always remember. So, Mr. Greenbaum, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much. Number one, I was your age, making it easy. I saw the way you're walking. I passed all of you by. I hope you had a nice walk. I was born in Poland, April 1st, 1928. I come from a family of 9 children. We had 6 girls and 3 boys. And we were in the tailoring business. One sister was pretty lucky. She came out of Poland and she came to the United States in 1937. And the rest of us was stuck over there. I had 3 married sisters. One of them had 2 little girls. One of them had 2 boys under the age of 7. And then the third one, she had a little girl also around that age. But her husband was already in America. But she was, because of the war, she was stuck over there with the little girl. Grandma took care of the little girl. With a normal upbringing, a normal life, I went to public school, I went to Hebrew school, played a lot of games with non-Jewish children, and the non-Jewish and Jewish. We mostly played soccer most of the game. Well, play all kind of games we played. That's a normal upbringing, just like you do here. Not that elaborate like here, of course. But it was, nevertheless, it was a normal, for me it was a normal upbringing. And we heard rumors, but we didn't have it in television. We only had a 10-inch, 10-inch by 5-inch radio, and just listening to the radio every day. And we heard that the Germans are going to occupy Poland. I was more interested in playing my games with my friends. And I didn't worry about the war was all period. But they heard rumors that the Nazis like, if you work in a factory, the news came around. So we were pretty lucky because we had a tailor shop, and one of our customers happened to be a manager in a munition factory in our own town. So whatever job that you got, it helped. It helped because they gave you an ID to carry with you. And before they came to our country, invaded us, I already worked for about 2 months in the factory. They taught me how to make heavy-duty springs for locomotives or airplanes or tanks. I don't know what they were used for, but it was a pretty large spring. And then also you have to learn other things too. Anti-aircraft shells, we had to produce that. That came out of a hot oven, like a mold. It came out. And like I say, it didn't bother us. We went to work every day. We got along with our neighbors, non-Jews. They were still talking to us. At that time, before the Germans came in, they were still talking to us. But when the Germans came in, no more. They didn't talk to us. Or maybe they were scared, to associate with us. My father passed away 2 months before the war. Before he got us the jobs, my 3 sisters and I had jobs to work in the factory. And we came home every day. And we lived there. We were mostly the religious Jews lived near the synagogue. Well, that's where we were, like 5 doors away. In fact, my father was the caretaker of the synagogue. He would close in the evening, open in the morning, plus he ran his tailor shop. With my oldest of the brothers, one of the other brothers was in the Polish army. He was fighting the Nazis in the Polish army. But the girls were there by 2 brothers, like one was in the army, and the oldest was home, running the shop. And then we made a living. We were not wealthy, we were not rich, but we made a living. We were not hungry. We had enough food, enough clothing to get around. And then my mother became very protective after the Germans heard that they were very close by, like a few hours before the Germans entered my town, Staropovica. My mom was very protective. She got a neighbor that we knew, we were like neighbors, non-Jewish, and he had a horse and buggy. And he took my mom, my 3 sisters. The one was married, left the baby with the grandma, but the other 2 were single. And we all went on a farm. I don't know whether my other 2 married sisters were, that I don't know. They didn't live in our neighborhood. They lived in a little outskirts of the town. And we went away to that farmer, and we were so religious at home. My mom would bring her pots and pans with her so she could cook at the farmer's house in our own pots, because you're not supposed to use somebody else's pots. Evidently, you think they were cooking pork or something like that. So my mom secured us. Anyway, she came there, and we went there. We were only 10 miles away. We heard the bombings when they took our city over. We could hear the bombs drop. We heard shooting down airplanes. We heard a lot of stuff, but we were not in danger. We were sort of safe in there. And we stayed there for 3 days. On the 2nd day, we were there in the farm, and you have to eat breakfast. The girls found something to eat in the farmer's house. My brother and I were out in the field. We went out, the farmer gave us a slice of bread with butter on it, and then he told us to take a tomato off the vine. It's late September, they still have tomato off the vine. It was close to tomato. And we ate our breakfast out there. And when you finish, go back and get a glass of milk. But we never finished, because what we saw going on is a plane, a green uniform came, I think it was green. All of a sudden, from a distance, we saw a soldier, and he was pulling a broken bike with him. And he got close enough to us. It was a Polish soldier who ran away from the Polish army, I guess, from the Germans. They didn't want to get caught by the Germans, so they become prisoner, so he ran away. My brother sort of stopped him, and we talked. My brother either went to school with this same soldier, or either he was one of our customers, I don't know. But they talked. They called each other by the first name. And they said, "Where are you running from?" "I'm running from the German army. They're 3 kilometers coming this way," and the Polish soldier wanted to run in the opposite direction. So he didn't want to get caught by the German army. I did not like what I heard, because my brother says to him, "Is it okay if I can run away with you? We were friends." He was not Jewish, but he says, "We're friends, we know each other." So either they went to school, or he was one of our customers. I don't remember. But he ran away, and I, as a 12-year-old, I was trying to chase after him. So every time, he didn't know that I was watching which way he was going. Every time I lifted my head out, he said, "Go back to your mother, go back to your mother." There were at least a couple of miles I ran trying not to lose him because I didn't like when he's the only man in the house and he's gonna leave a 12-year-old. Well, he thought my mom was gonna protect me better than he can, I guess. That's what he said. But anyway, I didn't listen to him. But then the Polish soldier turned around and real loud and clear in Polish, he says, "You too young, you better go back to your mother." I said, okay. I ran back for a couple of miles back into my mom, told her the news, what happened. They ran away with the Polish soldier. The first thing came out of the mouth is how we're gonna run the shop, how we're gonna make a living here. With the 3 girls, she started carrying on, crying. She was not herself. But the girls calmed her down finally, and she was okay on the 3rd day. We all packed up and we left back for our house. We came into our little house, and just a couple windows were broken. We were fixing those, and then we stepped up and run open for business. I myself was looking very scared for the German. I was looking at like the Goliaths that looked to me like with the helmets and also with the rifles. Everyone had a rifle, the boots, and when they walked on the sidewalk, and they made a lot of noise, believe me. You know they were coming. So I said, why am I so afraid of them? They didn't do anything to me yet at all. I shouldn't be afraid of them. But nobody said. So when I heard the boots clicking on the sidewalk, I ran for the door, and through the crack of the door, I observed that soldier. I said, he looked like a Goliath. He's tall, and he was a helmet with the rifle, the boots. And let it go with that. And they didn't bother us, and then we were okay. We, the Jews, the more Hasidic, the Orthodox, we were never bareheaded. We always wore a hat, always. In fact, my father had 2 hats. He had one of those little, what they call yarmulke, or skull cap, and a hat on top of that. But you had to, all of a sudden, the order came out. Every time that you face a soldier on the sidewalk, face to face, the Jewish person had to step off the sidewalk, take your head off, stay attention, and wait till he walks through. And to back up a couple seconds, we were already with the Jewish star on us. The first thing was the Jewish star. Identified us. We looked Jewish anyway, the way we were dressed, the way we looked, the Hasidic one, but nevertheless everybody had to wear a Jewish star. And then you had to step off the sidewalk, and then if you didn't, then you had to beat it. I watched some guy, an older gentleman, he got all beat up, and he got kicked off the sidewalk onto the road. The road was not dangerous, we didn't have any cars, just horses, buggy, and bikes we had. And that went on for quite a little while. I don't remember how long that went on. Then the second order also, what happened once they put us on the stop, they would grab us in the street. Even though you showed them the ID that you worked in the factory. But the ID, you ask you, well, what time do you go to work? Well, my shift at that time was from 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night. He said, well, you can work for us during the day and then you go to work. So 2 shifts. If you're young, it was grabbing you on the truck anyway. And then if they take you out to the outskirts of the town in the farmlands, and we had to dig trenches there. The trench was 6, the feet were about 4 feet. I don't remember how deep, but they told us the trenches were for military tanks to fall in. And we dug there for 2 months, we were digging that. Once we were finished digging, they ordered us all around, all the Jews living in that town, whether you lived in the outskirts or whether you lived near the synagogue, everybody had to be with 3 short lock perimeter of the synagogue. And they didn't put a fence on with us. They just barbed wired us 5 feet high barbed wire, and they put an opening. At the opening, they had a Ukrainian soldier who joined the Nazis. Some of the Ukrainians did that and become Nazis. They were very mean. And then the other one was just a German soldier. Both of them were mean. The only way you could come out once they circled you around was with the ID to go to work. There were 3 shifts. Every week your shift would change. From 7 to 3, from 3 to 11, from 11 to 7 in the morning. Every week it changed. And then we went to work. That's the only it was. Other people living in that 3-block perimeter, non-Jews, but they can come out anytime they wanted to. You go in, they go out. With us, just the ones with the ID cards can go. There was nowhere to stop anyway. The stores were all looted. There was nothing to stop off nowhere. So we didn't care that much but not stop nowhere. We went to the factory and met. And then they found out that not all the Jews made it into the 3-block perimeter. They got the city police, showed them where the other Jews lived, and my 2 sisters, all of a sudden, they got them on trucks with other people who did not live around the area near the synagogue, and they put them in this 3-block perimeter. So it got overcrowded. The family, you have to put them up. And if you were not family, you still had to put up the person. And they crumbed them in, and we stayed in there. We stayed in that ghetto for 2 years, from 1940 to October 42. Then also what happened, if you didn't have IDs once you got into the ghetto, and where everybody was, so to speak, under one roof, they got all the young people to go to work. They gave them the IDs to go to the factory and working in different places, either the munition factory or the stone quarry or brick factory. We had every little thing that you could do, melting down metal, scrap metal, and I think that saved us a lot of Jews, was saved because of that industry in that town. We were a small town, but we had a lot of industry. We stayed in with, like I say, we got very dirty, filthy. We ran out of food. We started depending on the German army to bring us in food. I don't remember, was it weekly or monthly or daily, that I can't remember. But all I know is it was not much of food come in. The first thing they cut out the soap. The soap that means you cannot wash yourself, you cannot wash laundry. We didn't give us for 2 years. We didn't have that at all. Then the girls were able to bribe the Ukrainian soldier, who was able to bribe them with either give them jewelry, give them a ring, give them a necklace or something. He would bring you in food. But then again, they didn't keep them. They keep rotating the soldiers so often that you stop dealing with them. With the Ukrainian also was always a Ukrainian and a German soldier together. You could not bother the German, but the Ukrainian were easy. But they, for jewelry, they'll give you a loaf of bread. I don't know what they gave you, that I don't remember. Definitely bread they did give us, if you bribed them. We stayed there until October of 1942. We stayed in the ghetto, intact, with the family intact, everybody together. Everybody filthy, dirty. We already got lice infested by that time already. 2 years, you sleep in the same clothes, and you work in the same clothes, every day the same thing. So lice infestation, that we had. And then all of a sudden, the order came in again on of October 1942. They ordered extra soldiers, extra door, come in. They chased us out of the ghetto area of the 3-block perimeter to a more open field. And the more open field, that's when the selection started. So I'll give you a picture as my family approached that table where the SS was standing with little whips and ordering where you should go, left, right. So we walked out, my mom, myself, my 3 sisters, and we came up, and mom went, my 5 sisters, excuse me, the 2 married ones, too, with the children. Their husbands, I don't know where they were, that I don't know. They also own tailor shops in the outskirts of the town. And then all of a sudden, my mom went over to one side, the married sisters the same side, the little kids that they had 7 years, under 7 years old. One of them had 2 little girls, one of them had 2 boys, and then grandma had one of the girls, a girl with them when she had a job in the factory. So they separated us. We showed them the IDs, we went over to the opposite side. And there was quite a few people who had IDs. We were not the only family that had IDs. Everybody got in on it to do all kind of work. So there we are. And then if somebody walks up pregnant, a woman, they went over to the same side as the elderly people and the pregnant women and the who just gave childbirth, handicapped people. They took them away. At the end of the day, we were all separated. They broke up, some of the families broke up. Definitely the ones with the IDs. And if you didn't have an ID and you looked strong enough, old enough, then he would send you over to where the able-bodied people were. At the end of the day, we were all separated. They took them away from us. We no longer saw them at all. That day, my mom, my 2 married sisters, 3 little nieces, 2 nephews, they're gone. I didn't see them at all. Till after the war, I inquired about them. I went to look around in different camps after the war. They said, don't bother looking for them. They were murdered in a place called Treblinka. Nothing but a killing center. The trains would roll in. I was not there, but that's how I was told. Trains would roll in. They would order to go into the shower, and they never come out shower alive. And then they get cremated, because where we were, didn't have any cremation yet. All they had is hanging, shooting, hitching a rifle over there, and normal death of natural causes. That's the only way. They turned around to us after they separated us, chased us for 6 kilometers uphill with the extra soldiers and extra doors. All of a sudden, we come by near the ghetto, and they would not let us go into the ghetto, into that area anymore. So that means you could not retrieve whatever you left there, stay there, because you could not retrieve it. They wouldn't let you go in. They chased you for 6 kilometers uphill on the top of a stone quarry. We wound up having built 6-foot fences on outdoor. The outside fence was wood, the inside was barbed wire, towers and loudspeakers, and also the dogs and the guards. And then the guards got on the speaker and they loud and clear, attention, attention, you must empty all your pockets, all your belongings, all your valuables, money, jewelry, whatever you didn't bribe away with that extra, to get extra food. That day you had to give it up because your life was at stake. They said if they catch you with any jewelry or money, you will be shot to death. So everybody emptied out everything, nobody got hurt, and they assigned us into that slave labor camp, into the barracks. The first thing I was introduced to a wooden shack that was on stilts. And one soldier was at the door, and one soldier was at the gate. And they were giving each other a signal. If it was full of capacity already, let's say if the barrack held 100, if it was 100, they gave each other a signal. next barrack. And I came into my barrack on stilts, I looked, and they teamed you up with people that you should sleep. Whether you knew the person, well, we knew each other because it was a small town, so we knew each other. It was not relatives, but 3 guys had to sleep together on a bunk. The bunk did not have any straw mattress. It didn't have anything other than a wooden shelf it was, with a board sticking out in the back for your head to rest. And they gave us a 3-foot wide little blanket rolled up. The blanket we decided to use as a pillow, otherwise that board would stick into your neck. So we used that as a pillow because we slept in our clothes, still the same clothes from number 1 day when they entered our town. Still we got lice infested, we slept there, just took our shoes off. And those that we had socks, took the socks off, took the shoes off, and we slept. If one person turned, the next one had to turn. Very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Once we got into the slave labor, they separated the women from the men. No haircuts were given to any of us. No women or men haircuts at all. So that's where the lice infestation was full of in the hair, mostly in the hair. They were hiding in the hair. So what happened in the morning, they go before you go to work, they woke you up earlier by whistle, and then you just stand in the front, and then you were ordered to go get your breakfast. It was a slice of bread, a little piece of bread, like a big piece of toast, with a cup of coffee, ersatz imitation coffee, and that was your breakfast. And then it was all lined up, everybody was lined up. They sent us off to work. We worked in the factory over 9 hours, 10 hours, I don't remember. We worked, and then when you came back, they gave us cabbage water soup. Nothing but cabbage water. We were assigned to have a spoon, but there was never given us any food to be used as a spoon. I had it tied up on my pants for 5 years. I never used it. Just whatever food they gave you, even in the camps, the other camp. All you did is drink that water soup out. We stayed in this slave labor camp for 1 more year. 2 years in the ghetto and a year in slave labor camp. What the reason was not to let us in the ghetto, that I don't have an answer for you. But all I know is we could not retreat, go back there. Whatever you left there, stay there. And then after that, they had also, as soon as we got into the slave labor camp, they organized 100 tailors. They wanted to work for the German uniforms, for the high-ranking officers like general, sergeant, but not a plain soldier. And they were doing work for them on the premises of the camp, a tailor shop. And one day, after we were situated already, we stayed in there for almost, I would say, 3/4 of a year. We stayed already in the slave labor camp. And then all of a sudden, from the dirt and filth, we still got dirty. We still didn't get any soap, even to wash yourself once you got into the slave labor camp. And so you got more lice, and lice infestation, it breeds typhoid. And the typhoid epidemic broke out there. And it's a very contagious sickness. And you're situated in such a close quarters, if one catches it, the next one for sure will get it. The only difference was high fever and low fever. If you have high fever, no way you can line up for work. Low fever, you could fake it, you could go to work. I had low fever. My older sister, the one who worked in the tailor shop, she had also low fever. The other two, high fever. And Yitta, she was sick, and they took her out of her barrack, and they put her into a separate barrack by herself, a smaller version of the barrack. She was the only one in there as far as I remember. And then every night when I come back from night shift, morning before I go to sleep, I would check on my sister because we were close in age, 2 years apart. She was older. And she begged me to bring her in some cloth of some kind so she could put on that bunk instead of sleeping on wood. She'd have some cloth or something. So where am I going to get clothing? So while I was working, I thought, maybe I'll take the rags where I wiped the equipment off where I worked in the factory. And I took clean ones. It took me 3 visits to her to smuggling you in. I didn't want to catch it on me, and it beat the heck out of me. So I don't want to do that. So 3 sessions it took for me to give her the rag. She spread it on top of a bunk. She take me for it. She says it's a little softer to sleep on now. It's better to sleep. And then a little while the following week, I came in, and when I had my wife, the night shift again, all of a sudden I don't see Yitta. Ida was the first day, and I don't see her. We had Jewish police in our slave labor camp, and also in the ghetto. I approached the Jewish policeman, and I asked him what happened to my sister Ida. She said she died during the night, and we buried her in the bottom of the stone quarry. She was the only one that time that died of typhoid. The second sister, I came back from night shift, they wouldn't let us in. They lined up the day shift first. Some people were missing in the count in front of the barrack. They went inside. They found people over there that could not line up for work. They had high fever. There's no way they can have. So they had the Einsatz group, and I think they were already working the killing unit. They went in there and they got her and then other people that didn't line up for work with high fever, and they put her on a truck. And we didn't know where they're taking them. The truck was full, barrack to barrack. And when the truck was full, they didn't take out just one full truck. There was more than one truck. And they would not bury them in the bottom of the stone quarry. We found out after the war that they took them straight out to the countryside where we dug those trenches for them, supposedly for military tanks. They used that for all the people that came down with typhoid. They had to undress naked in the front of the ditch, and they would be shot in the back of the head, and into the ditch they went. And when that ditch was full, they got another one. I don't remember how many we dug in 2 months. I don't remember that. But they didn't use them for tanks. They used them for people who were sick, who died on their own. Why they didn't take my young sister over there to bury them with all the others? That answer I cannot answer. I don't know the answer. So I lost 2 sisters already. The oldest one, she was working, and the sickness carried on a long time, because what happened is the managers were complaining to the SS, were you killing all those my workers? They are worthy of doing here. They're helping us with the war machinery. Why are you killing them? It's usually typhoid. I'm not a doctor, but I was told it takes 10 days. If they don't give you medication, you can survive in 4 days, in 10 days. Go back to work. He says they gave the manager answers. We can get you as many people as you want. So they started importing people to replace the ones that they killed. But they caught it too. It was very contagious. So it was a no-win situation. They brought the new ones in, they got sick. Eventually it wore itself off. And then all one day, after the sickness wore itself off, the high-ranking officer walked in to the tailor shop and told those tailors, well, you are going to be deported out of here. Not just you tailoring, but the whole camp is going to be deported. Where to? He did not tell them. You have to have all these uniforms ready by such and such date. Well, the tailors didn't like what they heard, so they organized an escape. We were still in our own city, in the outskirts of the town, near a wooded area. We knew where to hide, where to run, if we could get into the woods. But all of a sudden, these tailors organized an escape among each other. But then they told brothers or sisters or relatives, whoever they had, or friends, it's impossible. A whole camp should run out, impossible. So these tailors or whoever, I don't know how many were in the escape route, I don't remember. That I don't remember at all. But all I know is the day came, my sister didn't tell me till the night before. My shift was from 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night. And she says at 11 at night, do not go into the barrack, wait for me outside, and we are going to escape out of here. I was 15 years old already by that time. And I said I was looking forward to get out of this heck place. And hell would be the right word to use. I didn't want to use it. But then anyway, they didn't get out of there. So she came by after 11, after I got off the factory, and I sat down, and I didn't go inside the barrack. And she came by, surprised me with a Jewish policeman, the one that I asked about my other sister. And I didn't know she befriended him, or she knew of him. Oh, they were friends that I don't remember. But all I know, she was holding his hand. And she came by and grabbed my hand. And we were running towards the hall, maybe to the end of this wall, my right. It was all pitch dark. And the top of the stone quarry, they had two soldiers. They had the dogs up there with them. And all of a sudden, somebody came. The first three, we were lined up like 10 in a row. In groups. I don't remember how many it was involved in the escape. But all of a sudden, the first group got on quietly. They kind of, the wire fence opened with a pair of clippers, and then the wooden fence, they broke a little bit of hole. Maybe it was a weak spot. They didn't make too much noise. They got, 3 groups got out. 3 times 10 got out. And all of a sudden, the third group that went in tried to help the other few that were waiting outside, waiting for the next, like one of mine. We were waiting next in line. And all of a sudden they broke open the wire fence a little bigger, so not one at a time would squeeze through. The 10 was maybe 3 or 4 came squeeze through, it'd be faster. And all of a sudden somebody was breaking the wooden fence, made a little bit too much noise. He was trying to make a big hole. And as he ripped it apart, it made a noise and attracted the German Shepherd dog, and they kept barking and howling and raising a lot of barking. They flipped the lights on. Now, I don't know who cut the lights off. I guess the order was at night to cut the lights off. I don't think the escapees would have anything to do with the lights. So I think the soldiers flipped the lights on after they heard the dogs misbehaving. And they looked where with the floodlights, and then I saw people were running out. And of course I turned around and started shooting those people that went to escape. Some was wounded, some was killed, some escaped. And then all of a sudden, after they stopped running out there, he turned the lights, flipping the lights on to see if there's any more. We were standing lined up like a deer on the highway. If the headlights hit it, the deer freezing and don't know which way to go. And that's why we 3, my 10 group, were froze. We decided with the policeman, he said, run back to the barracks. Let's disperse. You could only shoot so many. And all of a sudden, as we were running in different directions, a bullet did strike my head, in the back of my head, and it knocked me out. And a few seconds later, I came back to myself. I didn't see the policeman. I didn't see my sister Faye, neither. I yelling, dear Lord, I'm 15 years old, you left me by myself here. All of a sudden, you have to watch over me, so someday I'll be in America because of my sister. And they came here in 1937, and I knew she was safe. Nobody was shooting her. Nobody shooting at her, and she was safe. And I'm lowering my head, which way to run, and I decided not to run to my barrack. I still was looking for my sister Fagan, and I made it to the women's barrack with lowering my head and bleeding furiously in the bed. It was just I wound cut off in my, not the skull, but just the skin, like someone was cut me with a knife. And then the woman, as soon as I hit the door in the women's barrack, you can't come in here, you're going to get us all killed. You're full of blood. I'm looking for my sister Fagan. She's not here. She's not here. So I didn't trust her to answer that fast. How could she know if my sister's not there at all? I sat down in the doorway, and she tried to push the door open, and then opened and closed, and I could not set the door, she could not do neither one of them. And all of a sudden, people were already dispersed. They were belonging in no barracks already. They started losing with the floodlights all over the place, watching the whole area. And all of a sudden, I say to myself, well, you can't be crying over spilled milk. You just got to try to save your life. You lower your head and run. And I made it into the men's barrack after that. But first I saw my sister. They were so mad, the two guards were so mad that randomly they started shooting into different barracks while I was in the women's barrack. And then 3 or 4 bullets came in there. The women jumped off, on the ground they went. And I was sitting on the ground. Then I was looking myself to see if I could see my sister Vega. She was not there. A cousin, first cousin was there, Ida. Ida, I said, did you see my sister Vega? She says, I know what boat she was. She's not here. Trust me, she's not here. But what happened to you? I said, I was wounded. Can you help me? She got a bucket of water. They stopped the bleeding for me with a rag, and then she put a dry rag over my head, on my wound. She took a beret off and put it on my head, but I still got to get out of the women's barrack, because once they catch me in there, I'll be a dead dog. They would definitely kill me if I was there, and I was 15 years old. So I had to figure out a way, how do I get out of the women's barrack, and I had to make it was evening, and I had to make it into my barrack, which were not that far away, but I could still run pretty fast. Lord, I was counting that time with the floodlight. Well, how long does it take him to go from one end to the other? I say, I can beat that clock. I lowered it, and I just run pretty good. I lowered my head, and I made it in. Luckily, I said, thank God I made it with no incident, and I'm safe now. In the morning, they woke us up early. In the morning, line us up for work, and at the same time, they wanted to get some idea how many escaped as they were counting us. First thing, people were missing. The first thing they did is let the dogs go under the barrack, under the stilts. They didn't pull anybody out. And then they went inside. And there was nobody in there. So that means the people that were missing either escaped, or some of them wounded, or some of them that were shot, killed there at that hole. And right there in the front of our faces, he told us to face the area where the hole is, and he took his rifles, the 2 of them, and they started shooting all the wounded people. And the first one was a policeman. He was sitting in upright position. I didn't see my sister. Upright position, moaning and groaning. Other people moaning and groaning. Well, he put them out of their misery. He shot all of them, the wounded one. Once the policeman was shot and tilted over, there I saw my sister, Fagan, stretched out, dead. She did not move. I said, here alone, 15 years old by myself. You'll have to be in your hand. You have to watch over me, so I'll make it someday to America. And after that, after they killed all the wounded, They closed up the hall and they sent us off to work. They sent us off to work. And we're back to normal. And we worked in there. And we kept working in there, and magic day came along, like the German officers suggested happened. We're all going to be deported. They got extra soldiers, extra gold, chased us out of the slave labor camp, towards the railroad station, and they put us in like sardines into those freight cars. No water, no bathroom, like maybe 100. I didn't count them, I don't remember, but it was pretty crowded in there. Some people were 75, some people say it was 100, and we were packed in like sardines, and they locked the doors on the outside. And we were traveling for 3 days. 3 days, we were not priority transport. Every stop we stopped, in unison, we were yelling out loud and clear, water, water, water. We didn't ask for food, just water. They wouldn't give us any water at all. We finally arrived at the destination, and that was Auschwitz-Birkenau. We came there, the smell was the high heaven over there, worse than in the freight car. People were using it as a bathroom in there too, because we didn't have the human being. You need a bathroom, you need water too. But so we got off. We couldn't ask anybody what was the smell. We asked later on, we asked people. He says, they cremate people here. They're gassing people here. That's where you see the smell. You see the little gray particles flying around in the air. Those are ashes from people who they cremated. The first thing, they let us off the train, and another selection started. Left, right. Half of our transport they took away from us. The ID cards did not help you in Auschwitz-Birkenau. They went by looks, how you look and how you look and help. We all look the same, but somehow they had an order how many they need to kill that day. So half of them they took away from us. We no longer saw them. They turned around to us. The first thing they did is gave us a number on the left arm, a tattoo number. My number was A18991. That was my number. The second stop was a haircut. After 3 years, I finally got my haircut. There was a Jewish barber. I was not afraid of him. He asked me what the wound on top of my head was. I said we were trying to escape with my sister and the policeman. They were killed and I was wounded. And I didn't say another word. He didn't say another word to me. I didn't say anything to him. The third stop, we finally wound up in a shower room, which we were looking forward to get a shower. We were not, for sure, didn't know the tricks that they have. They coax you into a shower room and they got gas instead of water, and they kill you that way. We were not aware of that. Till after that, we were told by the inmates who were there before us how lucky we were. We got into the shower room. First, they gave us a piece of soap finally. We got in to clean ourselves up. Well, we were so thirsty. We were drinking lots of water, and then we washed ourselves clean. And they took away the clothes full of lice, and they gave us a striped uniform. The striped uniform consisted of a cap, a jacket, pants, wooden bottom shoes, canvas tops, and a 3-foot long, wide little blanket rolled up. Every camp we went, that 3-foot blanket came with us. Wherever we went, they gave us one. We stayed in that Auschwitz-Birkenau. There was nothing really, no work to do. The first night we spent in there, we heard yelling, people screaming, bloody murder. We did not, I'm 15 years old, and I'm supposed to be macho already. I'm not afraid of nothing. But believe me, I was scared to death. I thought maybe we are next. Some people say, well, why would they clean you up? If they're going to kill you, they would kill you before. So boy, the screams out, we didn't know what it was. The next morning we found out this was a barrack full of gypsies, and they were next door barrack, and that was gypsy night. They were killing the gypsies. They came by either on a truck to get them out of the barrack, and they put up a fight in the barrack. And that's where all the scream that came through there. From people, we found out the next day, people who were there before us, that's what this was Gypsy Night. And then we stayed in this place for, I would say, 5 months we stayed in Outfit. There was no work for us to do other than handling dead bodies that died of natural causes. Just gave up and just tilted over. And they had a special group that came by with a little wagon, and they would put him up on top of the little wagon. They would take him for cremation, next to the cremation place. And then sometimes we were outside, and we would help him with the body to load them up. And then we went with them to the cremation place, unloaded them. And then when they unloaded, we put bodies, it reminded me like a lumberyard. Bodies this way, bodies this way, bodies this way, bodies this way. They could cremate enough people who they guessed more than they can handle. And plus people died on their own, some did. And then the stench came from the dead corpses. That's where you smell all this smell all over the place. Terrible. And then we were there like 5 months I was there. And out of the 5 months, a German civilian man came in looking for free labor. We didn't know that that's what he was looking for. And he took us, he chased us out of our barrack, and outside he came inside with the 2 guards and the 2 dogs, and they chased us outside. And once the civilian man looked at you, he called you, if he wanted you, he called you over to him. You can't ask questions. What are you picking me for? Are you going to give me a job? Are you going to kill me? No way, you could not do that. You couldn't say a word to him. He took 50 of us out of there. He left the other half in the barrack. Why? We all looked alike. But anyway, he took 50. And he marched us out from Auschwitz-Birkenau to Buna-Manowitz, 3 kilometers away. And then that man was either an owner or manager in a chemical company called Initial I, Initial G, Farben Company, IG Farben. They're the producers of the cyclone gas, I was told. They made wax spray, they made automobile tires, bicycle tires, synthetic fuel. They did all that over there. But the man that took 50 of us, only one reason only. He wanted us to build the road in the compound of that IG factory with the cobblestone road and also the sidewalk. Prepare themselves in case the American Air Force comes and bombs the rail, so they'll be able to pull in big heavy-duty trucks and get the merchandise out or in whatever they're receiving or sending it out. And that's what our job was. We put up there for, I would say, a couple months. We built the road, and we did already a long strip for that close thing, for those trucks to be able to come in and go and in back and forth. And all of a sudden, one day, the American Air Force came and knocked out the rail system leading into the barracks, into the IG factory, and then the rail only. And we had to war. They had also a bunker there. The bunker was not for the Jewish people. It was for the bunker was for the dogs and the guards and the non-Jews. They were already, every time the air would come, they would run for the bunker. We had to walk through constantly because our overseer watching us was a couple. He had to be doing this too. But when he heard the noise, he would sit down or lay down. We had to keep working. And they bombed the rail in there. But then all of a sudden, they got more aggressive, and they knocked out a little bit more each time they came. And they tore up the whole place. Then all of a sudden, while we were doing this, they were not in the bunker either. Either 9 or 10 British war prisoners. They held them to pick up dirt from the factory, just little pieces of dirt, an easy job. And those soldiers would tell us, This was American Air Force bombing you, don't give up, don't give up. Stay alive, try to stay alive, and someday they'll liberate you. You'll be there. And they left us. They left us, and they all the couple didn't say anything to them. And somebody had to speak English in my group to understand that. I know I didn't. To understand all this, what we said. Then all of a sudden, one day, the Air Force came and knocked out the whole factory, the whole IG Farben company, and also the 2-3 months work what we did with the cobblestones. So they don't need us anymore. So the whole Buna Monowitz and no IG factory, they put us back with the extra soldiers, the truck, and they loaded us up and took us to the rail, and we went on another trip onto the freight cars again. No water, no bathroom again. For days in and day out. We went to Austria, we went to Czechoslovakia, we Bavaria, Germany. We were riding around, we were bombarded on the way while we were there. Some of the rail, they put them out a little bit of commission. They were able to repair it and go over to the next rail and manage it. And we wound up in a place called Flossenburg, next 6 kilometers from the Czech border. We stayed in there. The only job we had, our group, that we arrived there is bundling up clothing that from people that they murdered. Whether they came from just Flossenburg, I'm not sure, maybe because there was a story high of clothing. And we were bundling up those clothes with coats, pants, hats, shoes, and they would send them in to Germany for recycling. And then we stayed there. And then some army, all of a sudden, they were already ending the war. So all of a sudden the rumors come that we are going to be liberated out of Flossenburg by such and such date. They knew exactly. I don't know how the rumors got around, but we didn't know it's going to be American or Russian. We thought it was going to be Russian because next to it, we figured how does America get me the Czech Republic, go closer to Russian to do that. But the Americans came to Flossenburg to liberate the camp. But the Nazis are not that stupid. 3 days before, they load us up on trucks. They emptied out the whole camp and they put us on trains again, and we were going again on train. And only left the cleanup crew left in Flossenburg to hide all the evidence maybe, or maybe was sick, they couldn't go nowhere. So they loaded us up again. Nobody wanted us, so we came to a place called Schwarzfield, Black Field, translation. We came there, they had a car full of Nazi soldiers in there. The SS was in there. We heard them during the night. When you come through a countryside, everything is quiet. All you hear is the locomotive making noise, the choo-choo-choo with the smoke coming out. And all you heard was the German soldiers singing and living it up there during the night. But when they came to Schwarzfield during the day, during the afternoon, in the afternoon, it was not night yet, they bombed the heck out of the whole train. The first thing they demolished the locomotive. Then they put enough coal in there that they cannot fix it, no way. And then the Nazis ran out of their car and opened up all our cars for us to run into the wooded area. Once we ran into the woods, we had to lay down a few feet in the wooded area, had to drop, because already soldiers on the ground laying there with the guns, and also the dogs were there, and more than one dog, believe me. There was quite a few dogs there. And then they demolished the whole area. So they couldn't do anything with us anymore, but just marching us. From then on, we started marching. It was a march, at the end of March, to the 25th of April, we marched. Every day we were going somewhere. We come through, no food was given to us on the march at all, because you didn't get that slice of bread, or get the imitation coffee, or get the soup evening. They didn't give us at all. On the Death March, we named it the Death March because we were dying as we were marching. We were skeletons already by the end of the war, 1945, April. So the only way we got a raw potato and some water to drink if the two guards were hungry and the dogs were hungry. They located a farm, a German farm, and they got in there, had themselves a great meal. And they were ordered for the farmer to give us one raw potato and some water to drink and march again. And we did that from the end of March till the 25th of April. The 24th of April, 1945, they took us in. All of a sudden, they knew that they were losing the war. All of a sudden, they put us into the silo where they keep the hay. Nothing before was done. Like every farm has a silo where they keep the hay or some animals in there. So we went in there, and all of a sudden, they ordered us into the silo. And once we got into the silo, we were soaking wet. We were drenched from the April showers, full with the stripe. We took our clothes off and wringed them out, laid them down on the hay to dry. And the next, they gave us a raw potato. Inside we found goats, sheep were in there. It was warm in there. They woke us up on the 25th, the next day, and they gave us another potato. The clothes were not dry yet, but nevertheless, we wore them the way they were. And they only marched us very short time, very little short time. And they put us near a wooded area, and all of a sudden, we see on the highway, about a half a block away, a highway, and a lot of equipment, war machinery, tanks, jeeps, motors. You see whatever you fight the war with was on there, and some on foot, soldiers. Well, we didn't know who they were. The two guards that were guarding us knew that this was American Army. So they decided to run away from us. They let us sit where we were sitting, and they were too afraid to kill us because the gun makes a whole lot of noise. And the gun was making noise, so if they kill us, they would be captured by the American Army as war prisoners. So they decided to sneak away that way. They went away, and a little while later, we were sitting by ourselves. And anybody can come and kill you now. Nobody's guarding you. Although they're the first one that could do it, but they decided not to do it because they were looking out for their own skin. And out of nowhere, this was the American Army on the highway. They either with binoculars, they saw us maybe in the striped uniform near the wooded area. We were more out and into the woods, so they had to see us. All of a sudden, an American tank took off from the highway, and then 5 feet away from us, the hatch opens up, and this beautiful American soldier came up, and he put his hands on his mouth, and he said, "We are Americans, and all of you are free." I was 17 years old by that time, and I was a skeleton, and the first thing I said, "Dear Lord, thank you for saving all our lives, but why did it take you so long?" It took 5 years till we got some results to free us. He yelled over to his other partner in the tank to empty out all the rations, and the rations were empty. We were grabbing each one, trying to grab a ration and eat it, but we could not do that. There was too much fighting going on. So he stopped, lined us up behind the tank. He took us over to a farm, across the field, across the road, into a farm. One soldier jumped off, and both of them jumped off. One got to the door, opened the door, and the other one for us to go in. But we were 5 years hungry, not just 24 hours, crazy hungry. And we saw the first thing in front of the farmhouse. The farmer had 3 big dishes or pails, whatever you call them, with potato peelings and white flour on them. We never looked at our 2 liberators, our angels. We never looked at them. We were eyeing those potato peelings. We got on the hands and knees without spoons, shoving in as much potato peelings you had. You couldn't stop until they were all finished. The 3 dishes were finished, full of the peeling. We ate them all up. Then we went inside. We came inside, we looked at each other like fools. They had waiting for us a table full of normal food inside the farmhouse. Instead, we chose to eat what we saw. And saw the peelings, and you were hungry, and we didn't think it's going to be food on the inside. So you better grab what you can. And we ate that. And while we were in there, all we did is, they wouldn't let us eat anymore, the 2 American soldiers, told us to drink lots of water. We drank water, and while we were there, maybe an hour inside, we heard noises going on, a few in the building, in that farmer's house. And they said, doctor, help, doctor. So they went in to check on them. They were all sick as though from eating. They had the first hand to eat all the normal food. They either overate or their stomach couldn't digest normal food. The peelings didn't hurt us, believe me or not. The peelings were okay. And then they called reinforcement 3 hours later, not like here now, where you touch the phone and help is right available. 1 second, you call. There it took 3 hours before the medics came. They came, they handed out medication. I showed them the wound on my head. I showed them that, and they shaved it. You put medication, you put a bandage on, and you gave out the medication to the other people. And we only stayed there maybe a week or so, stayed in that farmhouse. And the farm had lots of food to give us, or maybe the army brought food in, I am not sure. But we had enough then. And then we were put on trucks, and we were taken in near Frankfurt am Main, Germany. We were put in a displaced person camp. When I say camp, they didn't have any guards, no fences, just private homes. That's where you eat, that's where you sleep, and that's where you enjoy yourself. And then you're free to go wherever you want to. But we were skeletons, so we had to wait a whole year in that displaced person camp until your body built itself up to look normal. And then we stayed, and we were liberated April the 25th, 1945 by the American Army. And I think it was General Patton, either 3rd or 11th Armed Division at the age of 17. By that time, it took a year. Now we went, after the year was up, we started feeling better, we started traveling on the trains. We could go on, you don't have to pay. We went, and did this our favor. We went to different camps. I chose with my friend to a camp called Bergen-Belsen. We went in there, that was the British zone. They liberated, the British liberated Bergen-Belsen. They went there, and they told me 3 days. I said to the guard, I only need 1 day here only. I'm looking for family. And I found the Ida, a girl, my first cousin, who helped me with bleeding in the regular, in my own town, in the slave labor camp. She says, no one from our family or your family is here. Just the 2 of us are here. I'm going to Poland. Do you want to go with me to check on my brother? She said they had a displaced person camp in Lodz, Poland. She organized by the American Army, I guess. I don't know how the American Army got there, I don't know. But definitely UNRWA, UNRRA, a charitable organization. HIAS was the next one. And she went there without me. She located, her brother was there in that displaced person camp. And her brother told her that my brother was there, the one from the Polish Army. So she told him that I was alive near Frankfurt am Main, Germany. And 3 weeks later he came. How he came, I don't remember. Plane or boat, or I don't even know how he came. But he came 3 weeks later. And the first thing I asked him is whether we have a sister, whether she lived. All I know, she was in America, but I didn't know where. But then he said, best he can do is she is in the Washington area. and they hire us, and they honor our people, and the people who took care of the displaced person camp. Me and Frank Vermont helped locate my sister. They located her, and within a year, the two of us immigrated to America. We did not come to Ellis Island. We came to a different port in New York, and we're waiting for someone to pick us up. My sister, if she sent papers for you, she has to come and pick you up. And we saw a man coming towards her. As he got closer, that was my dear brother who escaped from with the Polish soldier away and left me at 12 years old. And I said, "Are you Dave?" He said, "Yeah." Well, we looked alike anyway. I don't know why I questioned. I said, "You Dave?" He said, "Yeah." I said, when did you come to America?" He said, "In 1941. I said, "Do you know once upon a time when we were on the farm before the Germans came into the farm, you Polish soldier, you were running away with them, and you did not let me run away with you? And I was 12 years old, and you my hero brother. Why didn't you let me go with you?" He says, "I thought you'd be safer with your mother than with me, and you were too young." And I went through a whole lot of stuff too. I said, "We're not going to compare." Then you take us to our sister, and you took us on a train, and we came to Washington, and we moved in with my sister, and the rest is history. So thank you very much for listening to me.